All right, what is going on, Discord and YouTube family? And welcome back to another edition of Market Review with me, T. Hobbs. Today is April 28th, Monday, 2025, year of our Lord, and it is another enjoyous day in the stock futures market. As per usual, I'm going to be breaking down my pre market plan. I'm going to break down some of the trades I took on the NASDAQ MNQ. Break down my pre-market plan. I only wrote one for the NASDAQ, but because the instruments are in similar positions, you could have used the same plan for the Dow Jones, the S&P 500, everything except gold. You'd have to literally flip it upside down. So um, I'll go over the trades I took first, and then from there I'll walk through I'll do it kind of backwards, right? So this morning I like to start trading at about 5:50 in the morning Eastern Standard Time. That's about 4:50 in the morning my time. I really love that's kind of like the handshake time where you can get like the top of the market or something close to the top of the market depending on the conditions. We were in a range, so the white box up here, this is what I call my chessboard. It's my own model. If you want to learn how to use that model, obviously you got to join the Discord. But if you don't know how to use it and you don't want to pay, just keep watching the videos and you'll figure it out, right? So anyway, 19,517.25 was my first entry. Market came all the way back up here, retested my entry. So I entered into another contract, another 5 micros at 51575. As we were headed back down to monthly settlement, I noticed that we couldn't break through monthly settlement. I wanted to target much lower prices, but I felt like if we weren't breaking through monthly settlement, that's fair value. So I was going to take some profit down there if we came down there again. So I let it come down to 67. I took profit about 10 points up off of that level. I got out of 5 micros for about 40 points of profit. And then I put the other one in profit by 20 points. I ended up getting stopped out of this trade for 20 points. And then price rallied aggressively back through my entry, which is kind of what I was anticipating. For me to have price come back down, I was convinced now that price wanted to go higher. So when price came back down, I actually re-entered the trade because we were in a range. I knew that I could go short and long, right? So from that same area, I re-entered the trade long at 19,486, and you can see that on this particular trade right here. I re-entered at 19,486.25. I rode this up for about, I think I was up like 90 points or something on this trade, but I was looking, as you can see, I was looking for 200 points on the trade. At this point, I was convinced that price would push through the previous day high and then started to mitigate this 1 hour supply zone. That actually didn't happen. At the open, I ended up getting stopped out in profit for 51.5 points. So I locked in about 90 points on the 5 micros, but I also had the runners that locked in an extra 20 points. So all in all, it was a good trading day. I'm not a big fan of like sharing my P&L, but if you guys want to see me trade live, join the Discord. I trade live with the Discord members every single day. It's literally $40. If you don't, again, just keep following the channel. I'm going to go through a lot of my trades, and soon I'm going to get you the live trade execution videos. But for now, this is what I feel comfortable with. So this is what I'm going to rock with. So I locked in 51 points, and then I just closed the account. This was all done before the market even quote unquote opened, before the New York session opened. And then from that point, I was just kind of narrating price for the rest of the day. But let's go back in time and let's talk about my pre-market plan and what ensued prior to me taking those particular trades, right? So we come over here to the pre-market plan. Then you can see the gray box is where I put like the current conditions, kind of like the way that I view the market for that current day, right? The current conditions of the market, right? Some people may say conditions are always the same, but in my brain, I need the conditions to be different, right? Meaning, are we consolidating? Are we trending, right? Up or down, right? Are we in expansion? You know what I mean? Like those are different conditions to me. So I like to clarify what those conditions are in preparation for the trading day. So the current conditions where we were ranging at the high of an uptrend. Now this can be seen as bullish or bearish, depends on what type of trend we're in. We're currently in a bearish downtrend. So consolidating at the highs, it's kind of a toss up, right? Like sometimes we reject it, sometimes we could be getting ready to flip, but this area was so key that it was hard for the buyers to push higher, especially with all of the catalysts that we have coming up the rest of the week. nobody seemed to be interested in buying price above Friday's high, right? So we were bullish as long as we stayed above Friday's low, which was 19,213. You can see we're still open right now. The PM session could still take this out, but as long as we stay above this, we're not putting in a true lower low, right? Like we're not breaking trend, right? We're just kind of consolidating on a higher time frame, right? And I said, as long as we stay below 19,586, we would remain bearish. And you can see this little candle wick right here that wicked up about 40 points above 586.50 immediately got sold into. So that also led to my thesis, or played into my thesis, right? What was my macro thesis? Like, how was I viewing the market on the day? Well, it was quite simple. Buyers and sellers are consolidating at the highs, and bulls are still in control. Until the range breaks, we can look to play the highs and lows, hence the reason why I took shorts and longs, which is something I don't normally do. But if we're in consolidation, I'm completely comfortable doing that because we're in a range. That's what the market is offering. That's what I'm going to trade, right? So until the range breaks, we can look to play the highs and lows of the range. If we break down, I'm looking for a retest and potential closure of the gap from Tuesday, which is down here, or the new day opening gap, right? That never happened. We couldn't even get below previous day low as of yet, right? This could still happen. There's still another 4-hour candle that needs to close before the trading day is closed. But to this point, put it this way, from the time I was ready to trade to the time I was done trading, the market didn't do that. So to me, it didn't happen, right? Tomorrow, that'll be a new day, okay? So what was my bearish plans, right? So if the market wanted to continue to go higher, then the higher the market gets from here, the more bearish I become, right? Until we break like some really strong higher time frame structure, the higher we go, the more bearish I become. And if you watched the top down analysis, which will be linked in the cards after this video, at the close of this video, if you want to go back and watch the top down analysis, today is a good day to watch it, because Sunday you probably didn't know what I was talking about. A lot of it may have went over your head, or maybe not, right? But today it starts to make more sense, right? Like today is a day where the top down analysis starts to make more sense. It starts to breathe life on the chart, right? So what are my plans? My plan was to become a bear up here at the daily supply zone from 20,293 to 20,517. That still will be my plan going into the rest of this week, right? We're just not there as of today. Today we chose to consolidate, and that's completely fine. The secondary plan to the bearish side was going to be to look for the 90-minute resistance at 19,658.50 to 20,040. I wanted to look to short week rallies up here, looking for a push into the previous day low, right? From here, I was just looking for the previous day high. From here, I was looking for the previous day low. And you can see we chose the white box so far, right? Like during the time that I chose to trade, we only chose to stay within the white box, right? The PM range is the white box, right? This is the white box plan, but the green lower box and the red upper box is what I would call the chessboard. It's my own model. I made it up. If anybody say they made it up, they lying, right? But anyway, what do I do inside of this chessboard? Well, all I do is look to short the high of the range and the long the lows, or I look for break and retest above the highs, break and retest below the lows, okay? What is the high? 19,586.50. The low, or 19,586.50 through 19,542. The low, 19,468.25 through 19,375, right? And you can see basically that's all the market did. It played inside of this range. When it tried to break the high, it pushed back into the range. When it tried to break the low, it pushed back into the range. So as long as we were inside of that range, all we had to do was look to trade the lows and the highs. Now, personally, I'm going to go over some more levels that once I saw those break, I was no longer looking for longs at these lows of the range. And I'm going to tell you why. So to the downside, however, I said I was looking for buyers to defend the 22 April. So Thursday, I believe. Oh, no, was it Tuesday's in dog, right? Or a new day opening gap from Tuesday. This is a significant gap in the market. 18,640.50 through 18,356. I wanted to look to long the market, targeting average settlement, which is this yellow dotted line here at 18,955.50, right? Or 18,957, whatever. And then back up to the previous day low, right? Which was at 19,213.50. We haven't gotten there yet, but we're, we working our way down here, right? You can see that the market's trying to get down here and push below this low. And once we get below 19,213, I expect this market to melt back down to 952 and then potentially the 4-hour support. Things to note prior to the plan, right? Now, I write the pre-market plan, and whenever the members get in here, we go over the plan as it's developing live, right? So things that I noted to the Discord, I said two things. One, if we do come down here, you can look to take loans off average settlement, 4-hour support, and then off the plan, the weekly fib and the in-dog. So that's still going to be the plan Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? Like, so mark these levels on your chart if you don't have them marked on your chart. You should mark out 18,962, whatever this level is here. You should mark out 18,779, and you should definitely have 18,640 marked out on your chart. Like, if we come down, the market's going to react to those levels. I'm banking on it, right? I ain't going to guarantee it, but I'm definitely banking on the market doing something there. The other level that I talked about, which was more important, was this red line right here, right? This red line represents, it's an indicator that tells me where monthly settlement is. You can see that red box right there, right? This level was very important going into the day because I noticed as we get a little closer to price, I noticed that the market in the overnight session, right, from Friday all the way into the overnight session, use monthly settlement as support and resistance. And whenever I see the market use fair value levels, i.e. monthly settlement, London open, true day, and daily fib, all as fair value levels, that's a strong support and or resistance level. So when I saw the market trade up above here, right, I was looking for shorts back down towards this level, right? And you can see that first trade I took, you can tell we were getting close to monthly settlement. I said, nah, you know what? I'm good. I'll take profit here, right? The market rallied up, came all the way back down, tap monthly settlement at 10 o'clock, right? Let me get a little closer to price so you guys can see, right? You can see we came down, traded into the monthly settlement at 10 o'clock. Right at 10 o'clock, we bounced up to this purple line right here, right? You can't see that barely, but this purple line is also weekly settlement. You guys don't have this future settlement indicator. I've been talking about it in the Discord for the longest. If you don't understand what settlement is, please just ask. But if you're not recognizing where settlement prices is and you have no idea where they are, daily settlement is good, but the higher the time frame, the stronger the value is. So if you think daily settlement is strong, what do you think the market is thinking about monthly settlement and weekly settlement, right? Like, it just goes to believe that it's going to respect those levels even more. You can see weekly settlement, we got below it, right? And then we started to use it as resistance at 10:15. We used it as resistance again at 10:45. And then we played between monthly settlement and weekly settlement. New York open was another fair value area. And then once we broke through monthly settlement, I called this out in the Discord. I said, if we can get below monthly settlement at 437, I said, it's about to be melting season, right? Melting season. And you can see this one candle we came back up to it. We rejected it one last time at 11 o'clock, right at the open of the 11 o'clock candle. And then it was dumping season, right? Like, the market came straight down from that level, broke through midnight, got below the daily fib, and now it's retesting, or it retested the bottom of the chessboard or the bottom of the range. And now we're coming back up to see if we can go back up here and close like this gap, or, come back into this green box and potentially go lower. But I don't think that the Bears were able to accomplish what they needed to accomplish, which was getting below the previous day low. So unless we get below this low, I'm looking at this as just a pullback to go higher. So we'll see what happens. The 4-hour looks really clean to go lower, but we'll see if bulls regain all of this, then I'm definitely looking for the market to continue to go higher starting the rest of the week. So we'll see what happens. But ultimately, thus far, the top-down analysis and the pre-market plan are in line with each other, and I really like that because it makes the rest of my week pretty easy. If the market is going to follow exactly what I thought it was going to do, then I'm completely comfortable trading the market in the direction that I want to. So what I'm looking for at the close today, I'm looking to see how we finish, right? Are we going to give back this entire move? Will bulls reclaim this high? Will this be the low of the week, right? These are things that I'm thinking about going into Tuesday. I know we have a JOLTS report tomorrow, so that should bring us some volatility. But if I know this market If I know this market, and you've been trading this market too, if I know this market, what it's going to do, whatever move it's going to make, it's going to start making it in Asia. And I'm completely comfortable just missing that and just, trading what's left over tomorrow during the London session. So moving over to the S&P 500, again, like I said, everything was really similar. I did not make a pre-market plan for the S&P 500, nor did I make one for the Dow Jones. But you can see the only difference is like location, right? But ultimately, the Dow Jones is still in that daily volume imbalance that the NASDAQ broke through last week, right? So we came up to this daily volume imbalance inside of the 4-hour candle. You can get a little closer to price here. We got the perfect top of the market right at 930. You can look for shorts right at 55.74. You can even look again at 1015 and get in at 55.62. I'm not even going to mention the person that I saw got long at 55.59. That shit was crazy. Anyway, pardon my language. But once we got back below the previous day high, I'll turn settlement prices on, and you can see again, there's a purple line. It's kind of faint. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit, but you can see it right there. You can see that purple line. That's weekly settlement right there. I don't know where the monthly settlement is on the S&P. It might be a little higher, but you can see once we got below weekly settlement, we treated it the same way that the NASDAQ treated monthly settlement. We got below it. We used it as resistance at 55.50, and then it was just melting season. But the market, the S&P melted from the New York Open. Again, another fair value price pushing right back down. And again, if I was to draw the plan out, this is exactly how I would have drew it, right? I'd be looking for shorts at the top of this range, especially if we get failure above the previous day high, retest of the previous day high right at 1015, and then just melt all the way down. And I'd be targeting these previous day lows. And I think with this doji candle and this failure right here, I would actually be looking for shorts off the daily fib right after we swept midnight. I'd be looking for shorts here, looking for a target of previous day low. So let's see if that plays out. But in the meantime, we'll go over to the Dow Jones. I'm done trading. That's just something that I just saw as we were reviewing this. So again, the Dow Jones, very, very similar. If we were to just draw, I had a 4-hour supply zone here. And on Tuesday, April 15th, we tapped into that supply zone. We immediately found sellers, right? We came back up here on Wednesday, April 23rd, and we can't even get back to the supply zone. So we can't get back to the supply zone. Then what does that leave us with? That leaves us with these wicks right here, right? These wicks right here is what's holding price from going any higher, right? So again, if I was trading the Dow Jones, I would have definitely took note of these wicks here, right? Because the wicks represent where the sellers are. If we get closer to price, what do? We tapped right into where the sellers are, right? Right into that liquidity where the sellers are. What time did we do it? We traded up into 930. So that's usually a good sign to go short, right? Traded up into 930, completely flushed out all the late longs, right? Came back up, took out all the late shorts, then came back down and took out all the breakout traders, and then just continued to melt on everybody, right? And again, if we turn on that settlement price, let's see where settlement is in relationship to the Dow Jones. And you can see everybody had weekly settlement damn near at the same spot, right? The Dow Jones got back below it, came back up and retested it. Weekly settlement set also at the top of my chessboard. We rejected it not once, but twice inside of 1130 and 1145. Then we finally traded back below midnight price, right? And if anybody's going to take out the previous day low before the close of the day, it's going to be the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones is usually the one that forefronts everything. So let's see if we get a big push to close the previous day low before the end of the session or not, because that's something I'm definitely going to be taking note of going into tomorrow. Speaking of the strength of the market, let's move over to the volatility index. And we can see that the volatility index is in support of this move, right? I've talked about this ad nauseum on this channel, and I talk about the fact that I trust the VIX, right? You may not, right? And that's okay. But I trust the VIX. Anytime I can see the VIX creating pure demand down here, right? And we're coming back into this level, and now we're finding buyers off this level. That means that the VIX is trying to hold this entire, right? It's trying to hold this entire bull flag, right? And if it holds it, where do you think it's going? It's going to target these highs right here, back to 35s, right? Back to 43s, right? And even higher. And I wonder what could bring us catalysts. I've talked about this on my top-down analysis. I've talked about it with the Discord members. Ultimately, I said that the market looks like it's trying to get back on schedule, where it buys up in April and it sells in May, and they don't come back until usually about October, right? So if that's to hold true, you don't want to see the VIX start to give up the 20s, right? You want to see the VIX stay above 20 so it can then start to push back above 30, hold the 30s, and then start pushing into the 40s and the 50s. If you think we're volatile now, wait until this VIX pushes into the 50s. You're going to be getting some real big moves, and you're not going to need much size to accomplish what you need to do, right? The other sign that I'll go over just briefly, right, that gave me pause to calls when it comes to going long today, right? I was done before I had to make that decision, but I mean, look at gold, right? If you just look at gold, right? These are my executions when I paper trade gold, but if you just look at what gold is doing, right? The commodities are screaming, run away from the indices, right? They're screaming because anytime gold starts to develop structure back to the upside, it's because the money is pouring into the commodities and it's flowing out of the indices. As long as this correlation continues and gold continues to push into the 35s, the 36s, the 38s, maybe even to the 4,000s, right? The market is going to continue to try to push lower, right? Especially if that volatility index continues to give us those signs that the bears are taking over. So those are my thoughts on the market. That's my market review. I did follow the plan. Let's see if we can do the same thing next week. If you guys are struggling with your trading or you just love hearing me talk, please feel free to either hit that like, subscribe button, leave a stupid comment down at the bottom about me being some type of ICT trader. That'll be awesome. Or join the Discord. It's $40 a month, man. Come on in here. We're teaching every single day. I trade live every day. I do a market review every day. I come in during the week, during the weekends, and I just make sure that everybody is pretty much on the same page. And no, we don't all trade the same way in here, right? So if that's something that's interests you, feel free to hit that Discord link in the description down below. That being said, my name is T Hobbs. This is the Trader Shop, and I'll catch you guys on the next one, man. Peace.